free a question that came in, and then we'll just kind of get started. And I don't know if you guys have other questions. If it ends up being released, then you'll get the answer to the question. I guess I could have done this on the live broadcast. Being loved. Is it who we are? Being an expression of the Father's love and one that people experience rather than hear about has been a core desire of mine. You've spoken of holding someone in your heart, even holding cities in the world in our heart. How do we expand our ability to intentionally impact atmosphere and regions of hearts with Father's love, since we are love? And they are love. Does it even matter, this question, since they are one with love already? Is that just a thought or a doing? I don't know if I'm understanding the question entirely, but I think what's being asked is, is there a way in which we hold as love, we hold others or cities or nations or the world in our heart to bring change? Or is this just the ego wanting to do something, since they're already one with us and we're already one and they're already suited up? I'm assuming and kind of reading in, having to read between the lines of that question. When we hold someone in our heart, what are we holding? When we hold someone in our heart, we are actually holding the vibration. We're holding the vibration of who they are. We're not holding them. They cannot be held. Essence is not holdable. When I say I'm holding someone in my heart, I'm talking about holding the form, holding the idea, holding the narrative, holding these things. These things are not bad. But holding that. In other words, if somebody has a temporary issue, if someone's not well, you want them to be well. Who they really are is not the sick one. They are not sickness. Right? But they're still manifesting sickness. This is what they're experiencing. So, when I say I'm holding them, I'm talking about vibrating, holding them in the sense of vibrating and releasing something so that they can experience, so that their experience can shift, or so that their understanding of that experience can shift. Makes sense? In the same way that we are continually bringing change to situations around us by things that we do, we are also quite capable of doing it through a frequency. You walk into a room with people that are upset, but you bring a really high positive energy, one of two things will happen. You're either going to allow their negative energy to pull you down, or you and your positive energy will pull them up into that higher energy. Correct? So when you're holding somebody in your heart, the same thing's happening without you being there in form. You're just pulling them up into this higher energy of space within your heart. So we have the potential to bring in, the more that we recognize who we are, the more that we have the potential to bring communities and cities and other people into this frequency. We recognize, I think the vast majority of humanity, or at least a large portion of humanity, is now recognizing that we have the potential corporately to bring a high energy and to affect cities and nations and the world through this high resonance, through this high energy, right? If there's enough people just thinking positive, it actually changes the health of a whole city. If you have enough people just thinking positive, bringing in positive environment, thinking positive, it actually shifts and bring about change. So we recognize that. What we're realizing even beyond that is it doesn't have to be a corporate or a large number of people doing it. You have the potential within your own being to bring this. This is about realizing who you are. I think if you think that you're bringing change to their substance, you're missing the heart of what I've talked about. Because you're not bringing change to their essence, to their substance, to who they truly are. This is impossible. Who they are in essence isn't changing. It's not shifting. It's increasing, but not changing in the sense that it is sick and it needs help. Or changing in the sense that it is depressed and it needs help. Or changing in the sense that it's stressed out and it needs help. Yeah? You understand? So, I think a more appropriate question would be, or not even necessarily a more appropriate question, but I think something that should be asked is, who am I? Who am I? So that I can, because who I am, and continually realizing who I am, I will naturally hold others, but I will naturally continually point. The more that I realize who I am, the more I will continually point others to who they are. And this, both individually and collectively, brings us to the higher resonance. It brings us to a place where we're beyond the sickness, where we're beyond the depression, or we're beyond these things. I think that's more important than probably just trying to deal with a temporary situation, is seeing who we are eternally.
As you said, you go into a place where you're releasing energy. Sometimes I feel like what I say, like I'm opening my heart gate, whatever, it's just something I put on it, and then I actually feel like a presence or something. Is it something we consciously do to release energy, or is our just being present with this flow?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. It's funny, you don't have to try at all to release negative energy, do you? Have you ever tried hard to release negative energy? Like you're like, today I'm going to be depressed. And I'm going to release a bunch of negative energy all over the place. Like, no one does that. It just comes according to the conscious state of your existence. It just comes. So if you're walking around, then you're walking around at a positive energy, a positive frequency, and you're just like, man, I'm feeling good today. That brings other people up into that. Can you expand that? Yes. The more that you realize that you are the energy source, the more that you can expand that and it can be felt and experienced. Sure. Absolutely. So both, yes. For sure. I think realizing who you are and just effortlessly living out of that place is more than
as far as like physical sensations when doing that, like sometimes I don't know if it's actually real or not. Like I can go with my imagination and I can see somebody and vibrate over them. And sometimes there will be like a physical feeling in me in the heart or something. Other times there's not. And I don't know if maybe, but I do feel the physical sensation is actually a confirmation. Okay, this is actually happening. Because like sometimes it's hard to know. Okay, is this just in my head or So are those necessary?
no. Are they necessary? No. Are they Blessed is the one who believes but has not yet seen. There is a place of realizing beyond the feeling or the experience, of awareness beyond the experience. So a lot of times it's, for instance, like dealing with health issues, even if you're just talking about your own health, dealing with health issues, you are the reason why people typically have an easier time releasing healing with another person as opposed to releasing healing within themselves. Most people, if you talk to people, it doesn't matter what religious background they come from, they have a much easier time releasing healing to someone else. But when they themselves are sick, they have a very difficult time bringing healing to their own body. It's because they are not seeing beyond their own senses. So they're looking for a certain feeling. In other words, I'm believing, I'm feeling, or I'm experiencing, depending upon what background they have. But I continue to feel sick. In other words, they're waiting for the feeling of sick to leave before they'll recognize the truth. When they're praying for someone else, they're not waiting for the feeling of sick because they don't have the feeling of sick. They might be looking for signs that they're experiencing something, but they're not waiting for something because they're just believing. They're just looking at releasing and believing, I believe that you're healed. There's enough positive energy that's being released to bring a significant change, even sometimes a complete change, to the physical body of another individual. But for themselves, they're kind of torn. It's like there's two of them. There's the me that's feeling the sickness, and then there's the me that's trying to bring healing to the sickness. So there's the sick me and the whole me. In actuality, there's only the whole you. The whole you is just identified in the painting that's feeling sick. It's identified in the clay structure that's feeling sick. So yes, it's a good thing to have the experience, the physical sensation. This dynamic is beautiful. It's a good thing to be able to experience. Feel the fire, sit in the fire, feel the fire, burn it out. And it's a good thing to be able to experience that fire burning it out. So for instance, your own dealing with your own sickness. Learn what it means to be the fire that burns up the thing that the body does not have to experience. Learn what it means to be that. A lot of people, and even like when we're talking about even the ego, a lot of people have to rest in the fire. Learn what it means to be the fire. Learn what it means to be the fire.
So rest in the fire until you realize you're on fire?
Yes. Absolutely. I feel like there's part two to your question.
I feel like you're waiting for it, but I don't have it.
I have it. Actually,
You have it?
part of my question is actually yes, part of my question. I experience and see many things. Like in my body, I experience vibrations, voices, presences, I feel like I'm holding other people or they're holding me. I feel fires and all kinds of things. And then sometimes when I go inside to hold someone, I am seeing things, but it seems foggy. When I go to sleep, I have dreams, and it's like I'm interacting with other beings, and it seems very real, but then I wake up. And then when I wake up and I look at the hanger on the door, and I see that it itself is actually moving. This metal object, I'm watching it move. And all of these things leave me with the question of what is real? I'm seeing, hearing, feeling, touching on many different planes and realities, things that all seem very real. But what is real?
That which lies beyond all of it. All of that, what you're describing is just a playground. What lies beyond it? What lies beyond it is what is animating, is what I was aware of, and then ultimately animated that which is playing. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about spirit, or whether you're talking about form, or it doesn't matter whether you're talking about mental capacity and mind. That which animates that is what is real. That is the essence. That's the truest self. That's what lies beyond it all. That's the unchanging truth of reality of who you are. Who we are all is one. So what lies beyond?
So none of those things are real.
Huh?
So none of the things I experience are real.
No real experiences. I've said, you've heard me say this many times, there's no truth in your story. There's gotta be fact in your story. There's no truth in your story. Because nothing of the past is true. All that is true is present. And what is present is far greater than the form or what lies just beyond the form. But or what is aware of the form. Pure awareness is not aware. It just is.
So is reality truth?
Yes. When I talk about truth, I'm talking about reality. So I'm talking about one and the same thing. Just the word truth, it just means, in the Greek, it's aletheia, it just means reality. The truest definition of the word, closest definition of the word would be reality. When Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, the word, yeah, I am reality. I am is reality. The I am, being I am, and play in whatever dimension, whatever realm it chooses. Play and form and shape and playground. So just play within those rooms. The only place you've ever struggled was in the playground. You've never struggled in reality. The only place you've ever been angry is in the playground. The only place where insecurities have ever existed is in the playground. It's in the mind that's attached to the playground. The mind looks around and says, this is all real. When in actuality, it was just meant to be enjoyed and played with, and it was meant to be this ecstatic experience, but the mind attaches to things, and then the thing that was meant to be an ecstatic experience becomes a challenging, frustrating experience. And so the playground becomes a prison. Because we have not realized who we are, the one that lies beyond it all. That's a great question. It's the mind. Don't let the mind wander. The questions that should be coming up in your own personal Satsang today should huh? Should be questions. I want questions that are flowing out of this place of really being present. What do I have? What if this was my last opportunity? If this is the only moment we have? We so often treat experiences we have with one another as if we're going to have all these experiences, ongoing experiences forever and ever. Or like, what I mean is that we treat them like, I just know what to expect. I know what to expect going in. I have an idea of what this is going to look like. I think I have some questions that I might have or not have. Instead of really being able to treat the moment as if this is everything. This is all there is. And really be present and really explore. Don't wait. There's nothing to wait for. Assumptions are dangerous things. Riley's assumption, and she was hanging onto that rock in the middle of the rapids, that if she let go, she was going to die, was a wrong assumption. You miss people. Every time you make an assumption, you're missing who they are. You make an assumption of what you think somebody else is thinking. You are going to miss them entirely. Stop. Listen to me. Stop concerning yourself. Learn what it means to let go of what anybody else thinks. You will miss who they are. And you will continually live in a place of frustration. And you will continually live in a place of judgment. And you will continually miss the opportunities and the beautiful moments that you have with those individuals because you're making assumptions. Stop it. Learn how to be present enough to have no assumptions. If you really are just now, then I could not make any assumptions that you come in. I cannot say, oh, I know the questions that you have. Oh, yeah, they're just dealing with this. Oh, if I'm really present, I can't say that. Can't say that about you. Oh, I know, Becca just had the same old question. Oh, she's surely thinking this. It's really easy to do that, though. It's really easy to be familiar with somebody. Familiarity breeds contempt, they say. It's really easy to be familiar with somebody and make assumptions. I know what she's thinking. I know what he's thinking. Really easy. Really easy. Assumptions are purely ego. Pure ego. You're missing the moment you're in and making assumptions. So be here. Be here. Don't assume that you think you know anything. Be here. It's the thing that you think you know that's keeping you from your knowing. When there's only one, there's no assumption. When there's many assumptions. And when there's just one, there's no assumptions. If you were alone in the wilderness, there was not another being around, just lower beings, animals, trees. We make no assumptions. He would just be. This is the reason why people go to the wilderness for sanctuary. Peace. It's not because they can't find that same peace in the city. They can. The only difference between the city and the wilderness is that when they go to the wilderness, there's no people around to make assumptions about it. And so for a brief moment, their mind is able to be still, and they're able just to enjoy that which is around them. When they go to the city, all they hear and see and think is, what is this person thinking? What are they looking? What are they doing? The reason why everyone wants to dress to look alike or fit into society is because they want others to think of them a certain way. If I wear my good clothes, my nice suits, I drive the nice sports car, everything is sold that way. If I have the sports car, people will think I have money. Even if they don't have money. People will think I have money. People will think I'm successful. When I drove the Cadillac, people think, oh, so look, Silas is, wow, he's driving a Caddy. Wow. Nothing was different about me in any way, shape, or form. Whether I was driving the Caddy or whether I was driving Molly. But let me tell you, the thoughts were very different. I pull up to the store, pull up to go out to eat, and we pull up in the Cadillac, and people have a thought about you. They pull up in Molly or on the motorcycle, and everybody, depending upon what you drive in on, everybody's thoughts change about you. If I wear nice clothing, people have one thought, oh, look at him. Yeah, he's got things together, he's got a Cadillac, he's probably fairly successful individual, blah, 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 he looks nice, he's well kept. I pull out, my hair is crazy, I pull up in Molly, I'm listening to some sort of crazy music, I pull up and I'm wearing these pants, and I'm just rolling crazy hair, and they think, this guy's nuts. Well, this guy, everybody has different thoughts. Austin would probably think this guy's cool and just find out about this guy. Yeah, that's 2%. The other 98% go, I don't know, this guy's a little out there. But then there's something that pulls them in. Something that pulls them in. The point is that assumptions are kudos. You'll miss the person making assumptions. And the assumptions work on the past information that you have. So, learn to let go of assumptions. If you make an assumption or if you're thinking about another individual, first of all, stop thinking about it.
What if you're thinking nice things about them?
Oh, continue. You can do that. But even those can be assumptions sometimes. Sometimes you can create a whole story in your head that this is the way that you expect things to go. All these people, this person is so nice, I love them so much, they're so enjoyable, I can't wait till I see them. When I see them, I'm going to hug them and hold them and kiss them and love them, and it's going to be so good, we're just going to be able to have such a good time. All assumptions. And then you see them, and it doesn't go the way that you thought, and you're heartbroken. Oh, they acted like they didn't even really care what's wrong, and then the assumptions start being generated in the opposite direction. And they not like me, they not love me the way that I love them, they not feel the way that I feel about them. So it's these assumptions. Continue. Think positive thoughts. And even if they don't like you or aren't showing in that moment like they don't make an assumption. Maybe they just really are so experiencing something so beautiful within that they just can't. They just need a moment. Maybe even now you can make an assumption based on what I'm saying. No. Don't make an assumption that you think you know what I'm talking about. Maybe that person is experiencing exactly what you think that they're thinking. But make it none of your business, because it doesn't feel good for you. It's not actually beneficial in any way. In any way. It'll just create a fight. Why not instead just see them as they truly are and love them right there? No matter how they act or how they feel, just love them and be present. Be present in the ecstasy. Love them. And if they want to be miserable, they can be miserable. If they want to not express love towards you, then that's fine. If they want to express hatred towards you, let them. Don't try to control them. Let them hate you. Because if you defend yourself or you start defending the hatred, you're just empowering it. A whole group of people right now are hating Silas. It's okay. They're wanting to go in and investigate even further from years ago the slander that's taken place. They have no interest. Nothing to defend. No law to live under, so I have nothing to defend. And honestly, there's nothing there. Even if I were to bring explanation, I'm empowering the ego. I'm empowering them. If I were to bring explanation, they say, Silas, did you do these things? And I bring explanation and say, no, I did not do these things. This is my story. Now there's two stories. And all these people will have to fight and choose between those two stories. And they'll say, well, Silas is just making up his own story and he's just telling lies. I'm just empowering him. Let their little slander fade away. Let their little things fade away. Let it go. Like it's pointless. And if I start to try to defend them, what I'll do is I'll ultimately feel bad about them or angry towards them. Let them. That they might learn that there's no law to live under or to try to uphold. Let them. Let them see your freedom in such a way that it makes them want to judge you. Let them see the truth of who you are, the essence of who you are, the unchangeable reality. It's like Jesus said, unless you become as a child and strip naked and throw your clothes on the floor and stomp on those clothes, you will not see me. There must be a place of the purest innocence that exists in this place as if this innocence exists here now. As long as you're hanging on to any narrative, there is no innocence. If I'm hanging on to or I'm attached to or identified in any part of my narrative, there's no innocence. I say, this is wrong. I will say, well, it's wrong to do these things. It's wrong. Jesus missed it. Or that passage of scripture that was found in the Gospel of Thomas must be completely wrong. And we're going to throw that out and say it's no longer supposed to be part of the canonical word, the Bible. We're not supposed to, we'll throw that out. Because it couldn't be right. Because nakedness is wrong. Couldn't it? Or maybe it's the narrative that's creating the law of self-protection.
What do we do with these narratives when we recognize them?
You let them go. You learn forgiveness. If you can't forgive yourself, you can't forgive another. You learn forgiveness. Beating yourself up is hanging onto the narrative. Judging yourself is attachment to the narrative. When you're able to do the thing that you would past tense beat yourself up for, even if it's not being present. Say there's a moment when you feel super present. Okay. By the way, those feelings of being super present, while they feel really good, there's always more. Feels really good to be present. Let's just say for a second you are present. And then something happens in your circumstance shifts, and it brings a change, and you're no longer feeling present. And what ends up happening is you go, I can't believe I let my circumstance cause me to not be present. I'm so frustrated. When am I going to get this? You're beating yourself up. You're judging yourself for not being present, right? This is attachment to the narrative. When you're able to no longer be present and not judge yourself for it, you're learning forgiveness. When you're able to go up, wasn't present. Oh well. Because who you are is the one that stands beyond the awareness. This one's not worried about whether or not you're consciously aware or not of what is real. What is real is all that is, regardless of whether you're aware of it or not. Isn't it? Are you with me? Who you are is. Whether you're aware of it or not doesn't change the truth. So, in the moment that you're able to no longer judge yourself, this is the moment you're learning forgiveness. If you're able to no longer judge yourself, you will no longer judge others. So if I'm able to forgive myself, and just go, okay, moving on. I wasn't present. Moving on. I'm being here now. Instead of going and saying, I just keep doing this, that's attachment to the narrative. Because the moment that you weren't present was a past moment. It's not now. Let it go. Let it go. Okay, moving on. I wasn't present. What did this, what I realized many, many, many years ago, I was still addicted to pornography. And when I say addicted, I had really been set free when I felt the Spirit with, say, Silas, who told you were naked. I felt a real freedom. But there were still moments when I felt this pulling back into pornography, right? And so there were still these moments. It's like the same thing you're saying. It doesn't matter whether it's just a thing like pornography or a thing like doing drugs or alcohol or whatever. It's something that you don't want to do, but you find that you're doing. Right? And so the Holy Spirit had said, I felt the Spirit say, who told you your name? And it really set me free to be able to perceive the human body without fear and guilt. But what ended up happening was there were still moments where I would find this thing and I would just find myself watching pornography and doing what people do when they're watching pornography, and then for whacking off. And then I'm finding that I felt guilty for it. And so I'd be like, oh man. And then I heard what are you guilty for? What are you ashamed of? What are you ashamed of? And it kind of took me to the next level in realizing that even in that moment, I was judging myself for a past moment. I had moved into a new moment, but I was judging myself for the past moment and missing the moment that I was in because I was judging myself for the 2 minutes ago. And I realized also that I still had a law in me that said I could not do this. Looking at this thing was bad and evil and wrong. And because I had established that law, it was bringing guilt and shame and condemnation, and it was ultimately keeping me from this present moment. Okay. Yes? Are you with me? For your personal satsang, I need you to be with me since it's a small group today. Be with me. Otherwise, we can just stop. I can stop at any point. I'm fine with that too. Haley's been quieter than she's ever been in her life. When you get some free time, Haley, what is today? Saturday? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow the mentorship starts. If you have any free time, reach out to me. I want to try to connect with you for a few minutes. Okay? There is no law to cause shame or guilt. There is no law.
Like, I realize what you're saying, but there's still like people still get hurt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. As long as there's people, there will be hurt. There will be wounds. As long as there is a you and a me, there will be some division, and there will be some hurt or some wound.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that like I feel really bad for hurting someone. So like I realized that there was no law, but like I really hurt this person. And even though like I don't feel regret in myself for the choices that I've made, like I feel terrible that that person is hurting as a result of that choice.
Mm-hmm. Is there a question? Because I can talk about that, but I don't want to talk about it if there's not a question. Because if there's a question,
Well, I guess like if I don't feel regret for, like if I don't feel like the choices that I've made were wrong because I recognize that there's no law, why do I still feel really bad?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there's an enormous difference between recognizing there's no law here and recognizing and really not living under the law. For a long time, I recognized that there was no law to live under, and yet I still felt like shit every time I broke the law. I recognized that in my mind that I was no longer under law, but I was under grace. I was living in this place of grace, this dimension, if you will, of grace. But I still felt really crappy every time I did something, especially if that something affected another person. And that's the first thing. That will come in. That will come in. The second thing is, as long as I'm seeing the person, there's going to be pain. There is no way around it. I literally cannot even teach or share my heart in the Satsang without creating pain for one person and ecstasy for another. This is impossible. It's impossible for me. I don't know that it's happened one time where I have been teaching or sharing where there has not been multiple reactions. One person is angry, saying that I'm causing pain, I'm causing issues. The other person is thrilled to death and experiencing freedom. With every action of a being, there's a reaction. Fell a pebble in the lake, and it creates a never-ending ripple. It just continues to expand, doesn't it? Yeah. As long as there are people, there will be wounds. The reason why I unapologetically, I will sometimes apologize and just say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it affected or that it hurt you. I'm not sorry for what I've done. I'm sorry that it hurt. But even in that, honestly, the only reason why I'm sorry is because I see that there's some temporal pain that you're experiencing, some temporal hurt or wound that you're experiencing. But I recognize something bigger than that. That if you could realize who you are, that the temporal pain and hurt comes to an end. And now you're free to actually see the beauty in something that ultimately past tense would have caused pain. The person is the person, the ego, that is directly connected to the narrative is the issue that's causing the hurt. No one else is capable of causing you hurt.
Yeah, but like this person doesn't have any grief for that.
What's that?
And so I just don't.
What? So I'm trying to help you understand. Are you willing to look into this further or no?
I don't agree that if I hurt someone, I shouldn't say I'm sorry.
I don't know what you're. I don't even at this point even know that you're even hearing me because I didn't say it. So this is why I said don't get in your mind. You're supposed to. You came here for freedom from this, not. So at this point you need to rest in it and don't fight against it. I'm trying to show you something. That's all I'm trying to do. If you want to hang on to it, you can. It's up to you. The person feels pain and feels wounds when another person wrongs them. But who has decided what the wrong is? And when that person feels those pains and wounds, then when it sees another person have those similar pains and wounds, it also feels the same thing. It feels the hurt, it feels the pain, it feels the wound. It doesn't like that. No one likes that. No one likes that. All I'm suggesting is that maybe you're not the one that's having that experience. And as long as the person remains, the ego remains, there's going to be fighting, and there's going to be wars, and there's going to be hurts, and there's going to be wounds, and there's going to be people apologizing, and unapologizing, and getting angry, and accepting, some people accepting the apology, and some people not accepting the apology, and some people talking bad about the other person, and some people talking good about the person, and people taking sides, and it's going to go on forever. Only when we realize who we truly are. Only when we realize who we truly are can we rise beyond that. When someone realizes who they truly are, in that realization of who they truly are, it can create a lot of conflict for the person that wants to hang on to its own rights and its own laws and its own ways. It can create a lot of conflict. That's okay. The conflict's going to bring them to something. Sometimes that conflict brings them to a place of great anger. Sometimes that conflict brings them to a place of great joy. Sometimes that conflict brings them to a place of both. They don't even know they're experiencing both. Deep grief and sadness and simultaneously some form of ecstasy. It's okay. All of it's okay. So you have a choice. Continue to sink in to the depth of who you are and realize that sometimes this being and living in freedom, to those that are not living in freedom, to those that are not having that experience, it can be painful. Or submit yourself to the same laws and just live that way.
I just like I can't. I guess that I just can't be like, oh well, he's in pain. He needs to awaken. Like I caused that.
No, you didn't cause that.
But he's not aware of that, and like I can't just be like, oh, he needs to awaken and get over this. Like
No, of course not. No one's saying that. So right now I'm trying to help you see something. That's all I'm trying to do. Don't make an assumption.
I guess I'm not understanding.
I know that. That's obvious, and that's okay. Don't make an assumption. In your not understanding what I'm saying, don't make an assumption that you think you know. Okay. I'm not saying you look at this whoever, this being that is offended or upset and go, look it over it. Whatever. I'm not saying you mistreat them further or you have no sympathy for them. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. That's not one. I've not one time said anything along those lines. I'm saying you have a choice. It's really clear and it's really simple. As long as there's a going back and forth between who I am and the form, then I'm going to take responsibility for my past because I'm attached to it. And when I mean take responsibility, what I'm saying is that there was actually no harm done. There's no harm. The only things that get harmed in this is, I'm not talking about you going out there and you're murdering somebody. You're like, well, that was in the past, and I'm taking responsibility. Still form. We can have the same conversation about that at a different level. Still form. I'm talking about this idea, I'm directly attached to this thing, this is who I am, it gets violated, and now I'm hurt, I'm wounded. No. The false you is hurt. Who you truly are is not the wounded one. Isn't that right? And regardless of whether they recognize it or not, the one that feels wounded is not the wounded one. This is not who they are. This is not who they are. And the wound is but a very temporal wound. Very temporal wound. This is why I continue to say, no matter what happens, no matter what goes on, there's no separation. To the people that hate me the most, we are one. They can go on hating themselves all they want. They're hating me because I stand and I go, the thing that you are saying that you cannot do, I do. Or I'm at least not trying to defend whatever assumption they want to make. And they have lived under the shame and guilt of doing the same things, but they feel that they're justified because they go and they try to make things right. And they work. And they think that if they can get me to just admit I was wrong and in sin and did something horrible, and submit to their laws and come under their laws, then I could be restored, I could be justified, so that I might be a slave. As the lamb before the sheep is silent, I just keep my mouth shut. I absolutely have nothing against going to someone that is experiencing some of that temporal egoic pain and saying, I'm sorry that you're feeling the way that you're feeling. I really am sorry. It is not my intent to bring those types of feelings. I did not have a desire for my actions or my teachings or whatever it was to bring my freedom, to bring this sort of feeling to you. But I also realized that even in the midst of those feelings, it's bringing them to the end of something. It's bringing them a little bit closer to something, to the truest nature, to their truest self. One way or another it is. Even physical death is bringing them closer to who they truly are. There's no way around their awakening. There's no way around. At some point, they're going to realize the wholeness of who they are. Wholeness isn't hurt and wounded. Who you are cannot be robbed from. You cannot have things taken from you. Who you are cannot have your life taken from you. Who you are is not afraid of loss. Who you are is so secure. And in that place, you're just free to be. It's a really beautiful place. People that do not live there, people, listen to my language, people, the person, the persona, storyline, will always point fingers at the person that's free. Just like they point fingers at a hurricane. A hurricane comes through, high winds come through. We hate the hurricanes, we're praying against the wind. Wind, we curse you, wind. But in their message on Sunday morning, you must be like the wind. Think about that for a minute. So is everyone who is like the Spirit, is like the wind. When we think of the wind, we think of this nice soft breeze on a nice summer day while we're sitting in margaritas on the beach. Sometimes the wind comes in strong and it's free. And blows over shit. And if it brings them closer to who they are, I'm not talking about intentionally doing something to hurt somebody. I'm talking about intentionally setting out with some sort of intent to harm somebody, whether you realize that's temporal or not. You don't let anyone yoke you down with another yoke of slavery. Because if you continue to take what you were saying a little bit further, what it's going to end up being is, well, this is how society functions. And how she functions. People are still being hurt, regardless of how much they apologize. Isn't it true? Regardless of how much they apologize, regardless of how much they're hurting inside, they're apologetically, they're feeling the emotions of everybody else, they're still hurting one another. Isn't it true? People will just gonna continually be hurt until they come to the end of themselves. They will always feel the hurts and the wounds and the pains. No way around. So we're here to come to the end of the person that's experiencing the hurts and the wounds. Religious systems say, well, the wound needs time to heal. You're not the wounded one. The mind will hang on to the narrative and the story about what happened, what this person did or what that person did, and how I've been hurt and how I've been wounded. And it just hangs on to yesterday, hangs on, they hurt me. It's not true. It's not even present in any way, shape, or form. I have been using this example for quite some time, for many years, and how it's always amazed me within the marriage scenario. That a man would love a woman, call it love a woman, conditionally, saying, these are the conditions that I give you. I'm okay with anything except I'm not okay with this. And that's just society for the most part. It says we're okay with lots of things. We're not okay with emotional or sexual expression beyond those two individuals. It's typically the issue, right? So let's just use this as an example. Society says this is the way it's supposed to live. A man would love a woman and a woman would love the man, societally. I'm talking about societal love. And the woman or the man breaks the condition. And whether that's emotionally just loving someone else or whether that's sexually expressing that love towards someone else. But that man or that other woman, the other part of that marriage, never finds out. And so goes on loving. I love you with all my heart. You are the best thing that's ever happened to me. You are the only thing I love. I love you so much. 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, they find out. This other individual expressed love towards another person. And immediately, even though that was 10, 15, 20 years ago, I can't believe you did that to me. They feel betrayed. You are wrong. They've loved them this entire time. Enjoyed them and loved them and experienced them this entire time. And they've allowed something 10, 15, 20 years ago to bring hurt and wound into this moment. Only thing that changed in their mind was that they acted another way. That violated their conditions. And I've always thought it's very funny that after the fact, they could continue to say they loved them because they didn't know what happened, but as soon as they have certain information, now they can't take it. Then was it ever love? The only thing that changed was your knowledge. Nothing changed. Nothing but your knowledge changed. You have a new set of information that you didn't have before. That's it. Nothing else changed. Now this person is hurt, is wounded. Was it their spouse's fault? Where do you draw the line? Did the other member of that marriage ever look with lust in their eyes? Or ever have a desire? Then as Jesus said, they're guilty of the same thing. Where do you draw the line? As long as there are lines and boundaries, there will be separation in our mind. Somebody's going to be hurt, somebody's going to be wounded. The only way beyond the wounds and the hurts and the pain is to realize who you are beyond it. To realize the essence that's unafraid. Don't know. Because insecurity will haunt you. It will keep you from being able to enjoy the person you want to enjoy the most. You haven't caused any pain. You're just the one that revealed the pain that was already there.
I don't know what you're saying.
More. And like Riley hanging the clock to the rock, I'm saying, let go.
I just have a lot of compassion.
Yeah. I know you do. Compassion's beautiful. But compassion at its purest sense is coming out of a place of love. Love and compassion are the same. Compassion, love, it doesn't come with conditions, and it doesn't hang on to the past. It's present. The reason why love keeps no record of wrong is because it's present. Meaning, compassion is never about what somebody went through. It's always about who they are. We've been trained to be a person, and so we feel that we're supposed to have compassion for other persons. What I'm telling you is your compassion is a gift. But it's never been meant to be focused on the temporal person. It's meant to be focused on the essence. To call forth what is really there. And it'll walk through the craziest times and the craziest things. It's beautiful. The way out is in. As long as we're focused on our doing and we're judging ourselves for our doing, we're going to judge others for their doing. It's just the way it works. It doesn't matter whether that doing is coming in perfect expression of love, we're going to judge them for it. But when there's no more person, an expression of love just gets celebrated. It's no longer judged. And now there's no division or separation because there's been no law to be violated. And I realized fully that this is hard to grasp, and we're not the only one struggling with it. You're not the only one struggling to understand what I'm saying. The vast majority of people that are hearing this are struggling to understand. So stop struggling. Okay. There's one that says, I don't understand. And that's okay. There's one that says, I don't understand, and I can't get it. I don't want it. I don't agree. I don't get it. You can be either one. You can function out of that capacity, whichever capacity you like. Lady, this happens in every single one of my meetings, pretty much everywhere I go, all the time. No matter how long people have been students or not. In the Netherlands, a lady came and sat down beside me. She was one of the few there that was having problems the whole time with everything. She was asking questions, but it was purely out of just trying to test me and trying to get negative response. Right? And her son had been being warned from people in the States to not come to the meeting until other people had to come to the meeting. So they were being warned from people in the States to stay away from it. This happens everywhere. Yeah. And so she was asking questions, but it was not questions. They were not sincere questions. They were not questions because they were coming from a place that I want freedom. They were questions of, oh yeah, how do you feel about this? And as soon as I answered the question, she would say, I disagree with that. And I said, it's okay. I really do not care one way or another whether she disagrees or agrees. It makes no difference to me. But it will make a difference to her. A mind that comes to certain conclusions will always feel violated. And it tries to fight to hang on to what it already is known. Whether I agree or not, I don't agree. I don't fight to hang on to my conclusions. I don't want conclusions. The man with conclusions is in an imprisoned mind. Just read. It's okay that you don't understand. But don't fight for your conclusion. I'm not talking to somebody right now that's just a casual observer from the outside. If I was, I'd say, that's fine, you can do it. I'm telling you, don't fight for your conclusions. It's okay if you don't understand. Stay in that place. But don't look and say, I disagree. I'm not doing it. You're fighting for something that you don't want. You did not come here to fight for that. You don't have to understand, but don't fight for it. Let go. I say that to you because you've given me permission to say this. Okay? I'm not casting my pearls before swine. Just because they're not always perceived to be pearls in the moment, doesn't mean they're not.
Yes, I'm just having a really hard time seeing beyond how my actions affect other people.
I know.
I'm feeling like I should be punished for it.
I know. I know where it's coming from. Fully aware. You're hanging on to the narrative. Look at me for a second. And right now, I'm not going to pat the ego on the back. I'm telling you, let go of the narrative. Let it go. Learn what it means to let it go.
I don't even know what that looks like.
That's why you're here. Learn what it means. Sit in it until you know. But what we do know is something's happening.
Yeah, I didn't mean to ask that question at all. Like, I feel like I totally fucked myself.
No, you're fine. You're incapable of that.
Thank you. It's just
Okay, everybody else.
completely unintentional.
You said you blamed me. It was completely unintentional.
Yes, I had no intention of asking that question at all.
You get everybody else blames me. This is welcome to the problem.
It wasn't my fault.
Never is. Oh man! See, this is where it goes. Just to use that as a segue, this is where it goes. Because as long as we're hanging on to our actions, we're always going to have somebody to blame. Whether it's self or whether it's somebody else. And even when we want to blame ourselves, we'll be like, well, but somebody else caused this or somebody else participated, and we'll point the finger over there and they'll be like, well, then when I was 12 years old, somebody did this to me and that's what caused it. And they'll be like, well, when I was 3 years old, somebody did it. And where does it end? It never ends. This is blame shifting because it's never present. Let it go. Be here. Just let it go. When we're not attached to the narrative, the story, the past, we're actually free. We're actually free. And this is when the pain and the stuff stops for everyone. In the kingdom, there'll be no more tears in the eyes. And see us dried up all our tears. What does that mean? It means the one who is crying has been put to death. And the one who is rejoicing has come out to play. Right now, there's a lot of both. The rejoicing one and the crying one. The weeping. That's okay. Maybe weeping may last for a night. Joy comes in the morning. Open your eyes and see the sun's rising. Right now, something's happening. Sit in it.
Now, I don't know what the fuck is happening. I haven't been doing this. Like,
You
I
don't have
like,
to.
what are you fucking doing to me? Like, I don't even know why the fuck I'm running.
Because something is happening. Let it happen. Don't resist it and fight it and hang on and feel you don't have to figure it out. Just let it be.